Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's Friday and I want to talk about a fragrance this Friday. Some of you will know I have been sort of trying to establish a Fragrance Friday regular post, but it hasn't actually happened that way. I love all things smelly, but I do find perfume a little more difficult to talk about on YouTube than makeup because you haven't got the visual clues, because you can't smell what I'm smelling, and fragrance is such a personal thing. But I know that I myself like to listen to other people's views about fragrance, and if they talk kind of regularly enough about the fragrances that they like, then you kind of get a sense of where their likes and dislikes fit in with the sort of thing you would like. So I do think it's kind of a worthwhile thing to do. Certainly I've found it so listening to other people's views on YouTube. So anyway, after that ramble, I have been buying a few new fragrances recently and trying a lot. I don't know, I've just been in the mood for new perfumes. This is McQueen Eau de Parfum, the lighter range of the new Alexander McQueen fragrance range. They brought out the actual perfume in, I believe, April this year, because I trotted along to Harrods around my birthday when it was launched. Harrods was exclusively selling it at that point and had a smell. And the Eau de Parfum, launched, I think, this week or last week. It's slightly more widely available, although the perfume is now as well. And I ordered this online without having smelt it first from Selfridges. So, what to say? I should give you some background, really, because I want to like a McQueen fragrance very much, because I'm interested in fashion. Alexander McQueen is one of my all-time heroes of fashion. I love his clothes. I'm talking his because it's such a personal brand, although of course now Sarah Burton is the creative head since Alexander McQueen's death. I've loved the brand from pretty much early on. When he launched in the 90s, I couldn't afford a thing that was in his range, but I followed his career throughout. I started out buying bits of, well, the scarves, the famous skull scarves, and the bits of jewellery. And as I was talking about this, I've got loads of his jewellery, but I thought I'd show you because this kind of fits in, I think, with the aesthetic. One of my favourite Alexander McQueen rings. So there's a little bonus we'll add for a bit of visual interest. I'm wearing another one that I wear more regularly. It's slightly more wearable, although the pearl has chipped. I've worn it so often. And I've got an Alexander McQueen bracelet on as well. Anyway, that was all I could afford, and that they were expensive enough for years. And then I graduated to the bags. I just loved the kind of what I'd call refined gothic punk. I wasn't a punk fan. I kind of admired the people who could do it, but I couldn't pull it off. It was very influential, of course, for McQueen himself. I love gothic, but again, I wouldn't pull off the full goth look, but I've always been obsessed by black, wear a lot of it, and partly because I have to, for my work, wear very tailored smart suits, but I like that look as well. I just thought, and still think, McQueen's mastery of tailoring, second to none. So one of the great sadnesses of my life is, by the time I could afford a piece of, proper, a McQueen suit, basically, part of the tailoring line, I bought my first suit literally 2 days before he died. So great sadness. I am very impressed with the way Sarah Burton has continued his legacy, softening it up, making it a bit more feminine, but staying very much true to the Savile Row tailoring background and the Gothic influences. So after that ramble, you'll know that I'm a fangirl of McQueen, so I would want to love the perfume. Having said that, there were a number of perfumes launched during his lifetime, none of which I liked. And I would also have to say that the notes of this particular perfume were not particularly promising for me. They are all heady white flowers. The primary trio of notes are sambac jasmine, which is okay. I quite like jasmine. Tuberose, which I'm generally not that fond of in perfumes. I find it a bit too heavy. And yang yang, which I'm also not keen on. So I went along to smell the perfume in Harrods, and the second thing to say of why I wanted to love it is the packaging, which is very true to McQueen. I love the packaging of this bottle. I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but the perfume is even more beautiful. It's a black flask, this similar studded top and cap, but then a collar of gold feathers, very, very reminiscent of McQueen's Couture. It is an absolutely exquisite, well-made flask. When you pick it up and handle it, it's got real heft. It's beautifully engineered. It is a gorgeous flask. However, the 50ml perfume, I think, retails at about £285, which, I'm prepared to pay quite a lot for perfume. I don't think I've ever paid that much, but I've certainly paid, running up to the £200 if I really, really love something. But, honestly, you've got to really, really love it. I tried the perfume. I liked it, and I will say it had enormous lust. I could smell it on me, after 2 baths a day later. But I didn't absolutely love it, so I passed at that time. But I was excited to hear that the Eau de Parfum, at a much more affordable £75, it's not cheap, obviously, but, that's fairly consistent with reasonably quality brands. Indeed, it's quite a lot cheaper than some of the Chanels I buy. So I was prepared to order it, and I certainly don't regret it. So first of all, again, just loving the pretty flask. It feels very substantial. You wouldn't want to travel with this. It's a weighty piece of glass, partly because of the, deep glass rim at the bottom. Plastic cap, but very pretty, a bit more lightweight. Sprays all beautifully, and a faintly lilac-y colour to the Eau de Parfum. Recognisably the same perfume, but in a lighter form to what I had sprayed earlier in the year. I do like it. I've been wearing it pretty much non-stop since I got it 2 days ago. I will say I'm slightly disappointed no one's complimented me on it yet, so I don't know if that's because they hate it or just haven't noticed it. It hasn't got anything like the last of the perfume, as you might expect, although I would say it's not a terrific last for an Eau de Parfum even. What can I say about it? It is definitely a floral, but an exotic floral. I don't find the tuberose, which, as I say, is not a note that I love, is too overwhelming. It's a very, very nicely balanced collection, a balanced blend of the 3 big whites. It definitely smells exotic. I get, particularly at the beginning of wearing it, quite a strong peppery note, which I didn't understand because it doesn't mention pepper in the advertising blurb, but I've read online that other people kind of get that. So I definitely think there is a black pepper or something in the top note that I get. And there's obviously a woody base as well. So it does have that slightly chypre undertone to it, although it is very much a white floral. And it's quite a big floral, although in this eau de parfum format. It's light enough to wear during the day and not kind of knock people out. So overall, I definitely think it smells, quite classy. It smells pretty much an all year fragrance, I would say. It's definitely not too overpowering to wear in hot weather, but it isn't really a hot weather perfume. It's it's marketed as being, this great exotic, seductive fragrance. But I think there's more of an elegance to it than that. Often fragrances that are sold in that way are very, very much, knock you down dead, or stay so close to the skin that they, kind of draw people in. This is neither of those. It's very much a kind of medium projection, medium last, refined sexy, I think I would describe it as. But it's always difficult, isn't it? Describing how something smells on you, how it would smell to other people. So definitely not disappointed in this. It's not an absolute for me, love it, can't get enough of it. But definitely one that I'm enjoying wearing, that's slightly out of my usual range and usual comfort zone. And I think it's a really interesting blend for the McQueen brand, because it's not the kind of overt, in your face, robust sensuality of McQueen himself, I suppose. It's very much true to the Burton aesthetic of this subversive undertone, but in a slightly more feminine, refined package. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, and definitely worth a sniff. I've got a few more perfumes to talk about. I'm going to talk about Charlotte Tilbury's new one soon. I'm really on the fence on that, so I want to continue wearing it a few more times to decide what I want to say about that. And I've also got a new Chanel and some others in the pipeline. So stay tuned, hopefully, for what will be a slightly more predictable series of Fragrance Fridays. Until next time, bye for now.